Colonel as a senior military officer rank used in many countries. It is also used in some police forces and paramilitary organizations. Historically, in the 17th, 18th and 19th centuries, a colonel was typically in charge of a regiment in an army. Modern usage varies greatly, and in some cases, the term is used as an honorific title that may have no direct relationship to military service. The rank of colonel is typically above the rank of lieutenant colonel. The rank above colonel is typically called brigadier, brigade general or brigadier general. In some smaller military forces, such as those of Monaco or the Vatican, colonel is the highest rank. Equivalent naval ranks may be called captain or ship-of-the-line captain. In the Commonwealth's Air Force ranking system, the equivalent rank is group captain. The word colonel derives from the same root as the word column and means, of a column. And, by implication, commander of a column. Colonel is therefore linked to the word column in a similar way that brigadier is linked to brigade. Although in English this relationship is not immediately obvious. By the end of the late medieval period, a group of companies was referred to as a column of an army. Since the word is believed to derive from 16th century Italian, it was presumably first used by Italian city-states in that century. The first use of colonel as a rank in a national army was in the French national legions created by King Francis I by his decree of 1534, building on the military reforms of Louis XII's decree of 1509. He modernized the organization of the French Royal Army. Each colonel commanded a legion with a theoretical strength of 6,000 men. With the shift from primarily mercenary to primarily national armies in the course of the 17th century, a colonel became a holder or proprietor of a military contract with a sovereign. The colonel purchased the regimental contract, the right to hold the regiment, from the previous holder of that right or directly from the sovereign when a new regiment was formed or an incumbent was killed. The Spanish equivalent rank of coronel was used by the Spanish tercios in the 16th and 17th centuries. Gonzalo Fernández de Córdoba, nicknamed the Great Captain, divided his armies in coronelias or colonelcies, each led by a coronel. This makes the Spanish word coronel probably cognate with the English word coroner. As the office of colonel became an established practice, the colonel became the senior captain in a group of companies that were all sworn to observe his personal authority, to be ruled or regimented by him. This regiment, or governance, was to some extent embodied in a contract and set of written rules, also referred to as the colonel's regiment or standing regulation as well. In French usage of this period, the senior colonel in the army or in a field force, the senior military contractor, was the colonel general and, in the absence of the sovereign or his designate, the colonel general might serve as the commander of a force. The position, however, was primarily contractual and it became progressively more of a functionless sinecure. By the late 19th century, colonel was a professional military rank though still held typically by an officer in command of a regiment or equivalent unit. Along with other ranks, it has become progressively more a matter of ranked duties, qualifications and experience and of corresponding titles and pay scale than a functional office in a particular organization. As European military influence expanded throughout the world, the rank of colonel became adopted by nearly every nation. With the rise of communism, some of the large communist militaries saw fit to expand the colonel rank into several grades, resulting in the unique senior colonel rank, which was found and is still used in such nations as China and North Korea. In many modern armies, the regiment has more importance as a ceremonial unit or a focus of members' loyalty than as an actual battle formation. Troops tend to be deployed in battalions as a more convenient size of military unit and, as such, colonels have tended to have a higher profile in specialist and command roles than as actual commanders of regiments. However, in Commonwealth armies, the position of the colonel as the figurehead of a regiment is maintained in the honorary role of colonel-in-chief, usually held by a member of the royal family, the nobility, or a retired senior military officer. The colonel-in-chief wears a colonel's uniform and encourages the members of the regiment, but takes no active part in the actual command structure or in any operational duties. The title colonel of the regiment continues to be used in the modern British Army. The ceremonial position is often conferred on retired general officers, brigadiers or colonels who have a close link to a particular regiment. Non-military personnel, usually for positions within the Army Reserve, may also be appointed to the